You're watching NewsX Explained. I'm Pratap Singh. Tonight we're talking about a man who for years has long been whispered inside Iran's corridors of power, Mojtaba Khamenei. As Iran confronts the loss of its supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, it must also confront the massive leadership vacuum that has been left behind. As the 86-year-old Khamenei held the final word on all major policies, his absence leaves the dual pillars of Iran's power structure, the clergy and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in a state of flux. Now the Ayatollah's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, is being touted as a likely face to carry the nation through one of the most consequential and contentious transitions in the Islamic Republic's 47-year history. As he stands at the center of one of the most consequential political moments in modern Iranian history, we look at who he is, how did he rise without ever holding public office, and why does his name matter so much today? Well, to understand Mojtaba, you have to first begin in Mashhad in 1969. He wasn't born into ordinary circumstances. He was the second son of Ali Khamenei, a cleric who would go on to become Iran's supreme leader. After the 1979 revolution reshaped the country, the Iranian revolution transformed Iran into an Islamic republic from a monarchy. And by 1989, when Ayatollah Khamenei died, Ali Khamenei assumed the role of supreme leader, the most powerful position in the country. From that moment on, Mojtaba wasn't just the son of a cleric, he was the son of the most powerful man in Iran. But here's what's interesting. Unlike political heirs elsewhere in the world, Mojtaba didn't launch a public career. Instead, he stepped into something quieter. He remained largely out of the spotlight, rarely giving interviews and avoiding formal political office. Mojtaba studied theology in Qom, the epicenter of the Shiite scholarship. At the same time, he reportedly served in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps towards the end of the Iran-Iraq war. That combination matters. In Iran, religious legitimacy and military power, the twin pillars of authority. Mojtaba has built relationships in both worlds. He married Zahra Haddad Adel, daughter of an Iranian conservative politician and former chairman of the parliament, Ghulam Ali Haddad Adel, in 2004. Remember, Zahra, though, was reported to have been killed recently when the US and Israel attacked Iran in their joint operation. The couple reportedly has 3 children, though few details about his family are available publicly. Over time, insiders began describing him not as a politician but as a gatekeeper, someone who controlled access, someone who influenced decisions from behind the curtain, no official title but enormous reach, and so insiders have long described him as an influential figure operating behind the scenes within the office of the Supreme Leader. That's not all. Accounts indicate that Mojtaba oversaw a vast investment empire and is reportedly a multi-millionaire. In 2019, the US even placed sanctions on Mojtaba, but a Bloomberg report alleged that Al Khamenei's second son still managed to build a global property empire. According to the report, he channeled funds to the tune of billions of dollars into Western markets. His financial assets include a British luxury property worth over $138 million and Swiss bank accounts, the report said. This is why, as his name begins coming up for many in Iran, it was no big surprise. The 56-year-old has long held a close association with the center of power in Iran, something that has not kept him out of controversy. In 2005, after the conservative candidate Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was elected president, there were murmurs of Mojtaba working with religious leaders and the Revolutionary Guards to ensure the victory of the relatively unknown candidate that they preferred, Mehdi Karoubi, a reformer and one of Ahmadinejad's competitors, had criticized Mojtaba Khamenei, accusing a master's son of interfering with the elections. The supreme leader at the time had defended his son, saying he is a master himself, not a master's son. Then came the turning point in his public perception in 2009. Iran once again saw a disputed presidential election with mass protests erupting across the country. Millions poured onto the streets questioning the results. This became known as the 2009 Iranian presidential election protests. During that period, reformist figures openly accused Mojtaba of backing hardline forces and working closely with the security establishment to suppress unrest. Iran's leadership has never publicly acknowledged these accusations, but inside political circles, his name began circulating more widely. The quiet son in the background was suddenly viewed as a serious power center, and that perception stuck. Here's what makes Mojtaba different from typical heirs. He didn't build legitimacy through elections, he built it through networks. Observers say he developed deep ties within the IRGC, Iran's powerful military and intelligence institution. Over the past 2 decades, the IRGC has expanded its influence into politics, the economy and regional operations. So when analysts speculated about succession and what would happen when Ali Khamenei's era ended, Mojtaba's name consistently surfaced. Not because Iran is a monarchy, but because power in Iran isn't only constitutional, it's institutional. and Mojtaba was positioned at the heart of those institutions. Let's pause for a second. Iran's system was built explicitly to avoid hereditary rule. The 1979 revolution overthrew the Shah, a monarch, so the idea of a father-to-son transition is politically sensitive. The body responsible for selecting the supreme leader is the assembly of experts. Constitutionally, they choose based on religious authority and political suitability. Yet for years, observers quietly debated, was Mojtaba being groomed? In 2024, Iran's assembly of experts met to plan the supreme leader's succession. Ayatollah Khamenei said that at that time that his son should be excluded from consideration. His selection could ruffle some feathers as the Islamic Revolution rousted dynastic passage of power. Same concerns echo today. Installing Mojtaba Khamenei in what was his father's role could anger Iranians, who took to the streets in economic protests that morphed into an indictment of the regime earlier this year. On the other hand, appointing him would send a message that hardliners tied to the Revolutionary Guards remain in charge, suggesting that little would soon change. Regardless, today Mojtaba Khamenei is no longer just a whispered name. He represents continuity, especially for hardliners who favor a strong security-first approach at home and a confrontational stance abroad. If he ascends formally to leadership, it would signal consolidation of power within conservative clerical circles, the strengthening of IRGC influence and limited space for reformist politics. It would also raise a profound question inside Iran. Is the Islamic Republic evolving into something closer to dynastic continuity? Or is this simply the system choosing someone already embedded within its power structure? Moreover, many questions of what kind of leader would Mojtaba be? He is described as disciplined, cautious and intensely private. Unlike charismatic populists, he is seen as methodical and institution-driven. There's very little footage of him speaking publicly. No major interviews outlining a personal vision, which make him, in some ways, harder to predict. And so the world watches, not just Mojtaba, but perhaps the most important thing about him. For decades, he operated in the shadows. Today, he stands in the spotlight. In Iranian politics, that shift alone tells you something significant about what is to come.